What's going on, everybody? The BetSided team is all back again with another edition of picks for Week 16 in the NFL. A little bit on the earlier side once again. Strong week for us, going 2-1 against the spread. Although we were missing Peter and Donovan's pick has yet to be played due to COVID-19 cancellations and postponements. So we might have to tack on his pick a little bit later on. But we got a full slate of games for Week 16, so we'll go around the horn. We went one last week, as I mentioned. Now 38-0 on the season. Ben Heisler, Ian McMillan, Donovan Smoot, Peter Dewey, and Reed Wallach all here to go ahead and break things down. So, Ian, I'll start with you. AFC North matchup is where we go in Cincinnati between the Bengals and the Ravens. That game taking place in Cincinnati with the Bengals as 2.5-point favorites and the total at 44.5. That entire division somehow up for grabs. Who takes the lead between these two teams?
Yeah, first of all, hand up. I have not been pulling my weight in these videos recently. I've been absolutely terrible with my picks in these videos recently, but I'm going to make up for it this week. I'm taking Bengals minus 2.5 against the Ravens. If I asked you what team and what quarterback averaged the most yards per pass attempt in the NFL, you might not guess Joe Burrow and the Bengals, but it is. That's right. Burrow has more yards per pass attempt than Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, every other quarterback in the NFL at 8.4 yards per pass attempt. And now they're going up against one of the worst secondaries in the NFL so far with the Ravens, who rank 30th in opponent yards per pass attempt. Last time these two teams played, Burrow threw for 416 yards and 3 touchdowns. I expect a repeat performance from him this week. So I'm going to take Bengals minus 2.5 against the Ravens in this one.
All right, very good, Donovan. We move on to your pick this week, the Thursday night special between the San Francisco 49ers going on the road, West Coast to East Coast against the Tennessee Titans. Titans losing a close one against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were in control for most of that game until the Steelers somehow bounced back at home. What do you make of this actual matchup on Thursday night?
I really like San Francisco in this matchup. They're playing really good football. They're back in the playoff picture. You know, they've covered 6 of their last 8. They've really figured something out, especially with Debo just using them to do absolutely everything on offense. They're second in yards per play. They're the best team in the league in red zone scoring and scoring touchdowns in the red zone. That's huge, right? Defensively, they're top 10 in passing yards allowed per game. They can shut down Ryan Tannehill, even though that Julio is back. The Titans, as we've said many, many times on our entire platform, the Titans are frauds and they're not a good football team. They're 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games. D'Onta Foreman got hurt last week against the Steelers. That's really going to hurt them because when Tannehill is eventually going to get shut down, that combination of him and Hillard is going to be weakened. So their running game isn't going to be all the way there. I think San Francisco is going to be able to go on the road and get this kind of easily.
Yeah, bit of a sneaky play on the total in that game as well, maybe on the over as well. But I do call in San Francisco. Peter, I will head to you next. Shocking, staying with the AFC West. Denver Broncos are somehow involved. You do not have a play on the Broncos. Instead, you have a play on the total when they head up against the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders are 1-point favorites at home in that game.
Yeah, Ben, I'm looking at the under in this game. It's at 42 at WinBet. The Broncos are the best under team in the NFL this season. They're 11-3 in their 14 games, and 9 of those 14 games have gone under this number of 42. Granted, the last time they played the Raiders, it hit the over, but the Raiders, this is a completely different Raiders team than the last time when they played in Denver. No Darren Waller the last 3 weeks. The Raiders have scored 7, 15, 9, and 16 points in those 3 games. Denver is probably going to have to start Drew Lock because of Teddy Bridgewater's concussion he suffered in the last game. Last year, when Lock was under center, they averaged just 21 points per game. You got a Broncos defense that allows the second fewest points in the NFL against a banged-up Raiders offense, banged-up Broncos offense. I don't think there's going to be many points scored. Should be a good divisional game, though.
All right, we continue on, taking a look at probably the marquee matchup of the week between the Buffalo Bills and the Patriots. So Reed Wallach, I head to you next. Also not a play on the game, despite the Patriots being a 1.5-point favorite at home this time, coming off that 14-10 win on the road at Buffalo. But you're liking the total in this game. Which direction?
Yeah, I'm going over on this one. I think both these defenses are a little overrated. I mean, who have these guys played? I know the Bills, last time they played elite offenses, it was the Colts who hung 40 plus on them and the Bucks who hung 30 plus on them. I'm throwing out 2 weeks ago when the Patriots ran a triple option, basically an offense against the Bills in that win bowl. The Patriots offense, top 10 in EPA per dropback. So this is an offense that could sling the ball against the Bills secondary that doesn't have Tre'Davious White. I think the Patriots are going to have success. And the Bills offense should have success with Josh Allen. They move the ball up and down the field on the Panthers, who are much better defense for my money than the Patriots. I think that this total is factoring in too much what happened a few weeks ago. I'm going over here. I have this peg closer to 47.
All right, I like the play as well because that's actually part of my picks for this week as well. Shocker, another 2-team teaser on the docket for me this week with the Buffalo Bills moving them from +1.5 to +7.5 on the road against the Patriots. And I also like the Ravens, the aforementioned Ravens that I know Ian is on the other side of, but I like moving that line from +2.5 to +8.5. We'll start with Baltimore really quick. You really can't seem to count them out as underdogs the last couple of weeks. They've been remarkable at being able to somehow find a way to cover the spread, both in that road game against Cleveland, down, I think, about 2.5 possessions in that game. They've done it 2 straight weeks against the Packers as well. And also, you talked about avenging this blowout loss. John Harbaugh, up until October, had won 5 consecutive games against the Bengals. Obviously, an improved team this year. But Harbaugh still knows his way around that team and that organization. So I expect this game to be much closer. Being able to move that line past 3 and 7, I really like as well. As for Buffalo, Reed mentioned the ability for both these defenses to maybe be a tad bit overrated. If you're playing a shootout style back and forth game, that's going to benefit Buffalo far more than New England. The Patriots like to slow things down. They like to run the ball. They like to have quick slants from Mac Jones. If you're going to have to play catch up with Buffalo, that means the Bills are locked in on offense, and that's part of what they're being able to do, stretch the field. The Patriots aren't going to be able to slow down what Buffalo wants to do offensively. I just don't think that's the type of style that the Patriots want to play. So again, by moving that line from Buffalo from +1.5 to +7.5, you get past those 2 numbers. And I think both these 2 teams are live in these games as well, but you get a little bit of extra cushion with the teaser. And there you have it, guys. Those are our picks for Week 16 in the NFL. For all of us over at BetSided, we're wishing you happy holidays and a good new year as well. We will talk to you heading into Week 17, now the second to last week of the NFL season next week. Until then, may all of your bets hit. Talk to you soon.